Hello and welcome to episode 39/40 because it looks like I missed last week. I didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize I missed it. Sorry about that, folks. Of Dunk's Movie Corner, or Dunk's Movie Corner Pod, or podcast, whatever you want to call it. That's what this is. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. If you are new, this is again usually more of a companion podcast to the Movie Bros, which is an actual conversation I have once a week with my brother, where we talk about a movie, and it's I find it's much more interesting than just this quick little rant and ramble that I do once a week. And obviously, yes, I didn't realize I missed last week. I guess life just happened. But so this will be 2 weeks worth of movies. So if it feels like there's a lot here, there is. Looking at my letterbox, so apologies for that. But so granted, usually this is somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna guess this is probably gonna end up being more like 15-20. But this is just a quick recap of what I watched in a week in either TV, limited series, or movie. If you're looking for longer explanations or a bit of a more of a meaty conversation between more than just one person, I'd say check out the Movie Bros. That is posted on Sundays, usually every week. And both this podcast and that one is A on Spotify, B on YouTube, and C/D. I think if I did it correctly, they should be available on Apple or Amazon Podcasts if that's how you listen to this kind of stuff. And it's also on Instagram at the movie _ bros, or at Dunk's Movie Corner Pod. And I think that's all the quick little buzzwordy stuff I can say at the top. Otherwise, let's get into it. I believe I ended quote unquote last week, which would have been 2 weeks ago, with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This week, again, however you want to word this, whatever week you want to say I'm starting with, I watched Do the Right Thing, which is the 1989 Spike Lee. It's very, A, highly rated, B, pretty like iconic for the time. Like anyone who's into movies is like, oh, that's pretty up there for movies they like. The writing is fantastic, and it's surprising of little cast members. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you were this. Oh, you were in this. I feel like I need a second, maybe obviously not yet, but I think I need to rewatch it to maybe appreciate it more. So I did not rate this yet. Usually I rate my movies on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, including half stars. That's what Letterboxd uses. If you don't know what that is, you can look that up. But so again, I will probably come back to this at some point so I can, have a better feel for it. From there, I watched the 1999 For the Love of the Game. This was recommended via Netflix for me. This is directed by Sam Raimi, which, I feel like has a fairly well-known filmography of both horror and, like, kind of kooky craziness. if you looked at his stuff, he's done all kinds of stuff. Either way, he's very well-known, and it has a very distinct style. And this is a baseball movie starring it's really almost just Kevin Costner. Obviously there's a few minor characters, but it's his movie. And A, it does not feel like a Sam Raimi movie, and B, just not a good, I don't know if it was like flow of the story or the editing, but it's really just basically like 2 hours of just slowly kind of talking about like a situationship from 25 years ago, and how they obviously don't always work out. I don't know. It's just I was very underwhelmed. I would give this like a 1.5 star. Like, it wasn't interesting to look at. The story wasn't interesting. No reason to ever rewatch this. From there, I watched Melancholia, which is the director's name is Lars von Trier. This stars Kirsten Dunst, Kiefer Sutherland's in it, Alexander Skarsgård, Stellan Skarsgård, John Hurt. There are several people in this who you are going to recognize. I don't really know how I feel. So I like that it shows a fairly real, a version of someone dealing with like pretty strong depression, and her parents, it's Kiefer Sutherland, is hoping that throwing her this big extravagant wedding will like fix that, or basically pawning her off onto Alexander Skarsgård, who is like loves her but doesn't really know how to handle her depression. The whole thing takes place over like a day and a half. And during this wedding, which some of it is shot really beautifully, and then a lot of it is this like really shaky handheld camera, and it just doesn't work at all for me. But then the other side of this is like beautiful artistic, Oh, and there's this massive planet that is it might hit Earth, it might not, and everyone is very nonchalant about it for whatever reason. Either way, it's an odd movie. There are parts that I think work well, and there's a lot of parts that I think are kind of a miss. So I would again, I didn't rate this because I don't know, it felt weird to rate something that I don't know. Looking back, I'd probably give it like a 2 out of 5. Again, could have been a lot worse. Could have been a heck of a lot better. Yeah. From there, as almost like a palate cleanse, I rewatched The Money Pit. This is 1986. This is Richard Benjamin is the director. You know him from. I mean, if you look at his filmography, he was a guy from the 80s that did a lot of movies. But um, Kathleen Kennedy produced this, with everything else that she's ever done. But Tom Hanks, Shelley Long buy a house. Basically, it's not a house; it's a mansion for 2 people, which doesn't make any sense to me. And this also just reminds me how much of this is from the 80s that this is. This basically mansion. Yes, it's kind of dilapidated, and that's the whole movie is them like pouring money, the money pit, into this house to fix it. And then along the way, they lose sight of like, oh, they actually love each other, and they hate each other, and they break up, and then they realize, oh, the house doesn't actually matter that much. It's more about their love. Either way, I'm sure it's just the topicalness of this, but the like the pain and the suffering of everything of them trying to work on this house, I will never even feel that because I can't afford the house. Even like the really shitty rundown house. Like they bought this mansion for like 200 grand and then poured another like 200 grand into it. And I'm like, this is clearly from, 40 years ago because this is insane to even think that that's a possibility in the modern economical climate. Either way, if you haven't seen it, it's actually really fun. Lots of good gags. Yeah, I would call that a very solid like 3.5. Obviously, it's not it's not cinema, but it's a lot of fun. From there, I rewatched Civil War. This is 2024. Now I rewatched this because the most recent episode of the Movie Bros was about this. So if you're curious, that was just posted, I believe, yesterday. Yeah, this also stars Kirsten Dunst. This is I mean, granted, you could hear our long conversation about managing expectations, but this was a lot of bits sold as a much more like action, quote unquote, civil war in the United States, present day. And parts of it kind of show that, but really the whole movie is about wartime photojournalism. And that's really interesting. At least I found it interesting. But I liked it a lot more the first time around, actually. And then the second time around, I was like, okay, they don't really dig into any topics. There's not a ton of character development. Like, it's beautifully shot. Like, Alex Garland, the director, you would know him from Ex Machina, Annihilation. He just released one this year called Warfare that's supposed to be really good. Um, yeah, so I love the photography stuff in it. It's really cool. But yeah, again, I would probably call this a 3.5 for different reasons than the Money Pit. But again, it's also a 3.5, I think. From there, I put this on when I got home one night because I was just like, okay, I've just worked 2 different jobs from like AM to 9 p.m. I'm pretty burnt out. I want to just put something on to just have something on in the background. And boy, did I pick a winner. The Land of the Lost from 2009. This is like peak Will Ferrell-ish comedy time. But wow, is this just a massive pile of crap? Like, no parts of this are funny. And even, granted, again, this is 2009, but even looking back in 2009, I don't think I would have found this funny. It stars Will Ferrell and Danny McBride are the 2 main ones. The director, Brad Sibberling, I think. He's done a few things, but yeah, he hasn't done a lot, and I think that's okay, because I gave this half a star out of 5, so pretty much as low as I could possibly give this. That's what I thought of it, because wow, what a huge pile of shit. From there, I jumped back to 1990 and watched King of New York. So visually, I think I saw just a bunch of stills from this on Instagram, and it looked interesting. But as a story concept, so this is very much early 90s, New York City, Christopher Walken, like, hey, like, it's crazy. Like, Christopher Walken, being Christopher Walken, is supposed to be like a gangster getting out of prison and trying to reclaim his, like, territory. And like all the other parts of the movie are not bad, but anytime where it's him, it's not believable because it's Christopher Walken. Yeah, that's really the main bit that I have issue with. Like Lawrence Fishburne is so young in this that in the credits he goes by Larry Fishburne, which is kind of weird. Wesley Snipes is in this. Giancarlo Esposito is in this. Steve Buscemi. So there's several people in this that you will recognize, and I don't know. I visually there are parts that I enjoyed. Story so, and they could have picked just not Christopher Walken for this. I don't know. Maybe it was a time when he was really gaining some traction, but if you look at even the like the poster or the poster, I would say it looks cool. Like it looks interesting enough, but he's just not who I feel like is a like foreboding force as like a mobster gangster guy. Either way, from there I jumped ahead to 1993 and watched Tombstone. So I feel like I've seen bits and pieces of this either on TV or just over the years somehow, but I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. And I mean, A, I wanted to watch it, but B, this is uh, Val Kilmer, RIP, had just died. And I was like, I haven't really watched a ton of stuff he's in, and I've liked him in everything I've seen him in. He's got this like natural charisma, and he's just also got this kind of just weird, fun energy. And A, this is no different. But A, it's a western, and it's actually a western done well. I feel like it's very hit or miss these days when westerns are done. Sometimes you get like 3:10 to Yuma, and it's great. Sometimes they remake The Magnificent Seven, and it's terrible. So this really stars Kurt Russell. It's Kurt Russell's movie, and then like as a supporting cast, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, and Bill Paxton are all like his friends and/or siblings. And Kurt Russell, I mean, obviously has that star power. Val Kilmer literally steals every scene. Like he is so good in this. Sam Elliott, it's Sam Elliott. I don't know. He's got the mustache. He's got the voice. He has that presence. And then I feel like they literally like maybe it was his character, maybe it was the writing, but Bill Paxton is just not good in this. Like he is just a side character that does nothing, but B, even the times that he's trying to emote, it doesn't. I don't know. It's not great. It's not really. You could put a lot of different people into his role, and the movie would be either the same or better. So just something I'm thinking about. That's all. And let's see. From there, I watched Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Even though the Part Two they've renamed to a different. The naming for those movies, at least the last couple, have been a little messy. But so I rewatched this kind of in preparation because the new / hopefully last Mission Impossible, so it's Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, comes out in I think a couple weeks. And I've seen this once or twice before. I think I've logged it twice. This is the one where Tom Cruise is a crazy man, and does all his own stunts. Was the one where he basically jumps off a cliff on a motorcycle and then eventually like skydives and onto a train. Craziness. But I will say it does feel, I mean, all parts of it are fun, but it does feel bloated. It does feel like, oh, this is a long ass fucking movie. And it's a part one, so it's literally leading into the next one, which I sometimes like and sometimes I don't. This one I was like, okay, it's already stuffed as fuck, and you're still giving me like, oh, there's still more I need to watch to complete the story. That's why I think of the more recent ones where like Simon Pegg and like Rebecca Ferguson and Ving Rhames have been in them for. I hope the last one is not as granted. I think I already saw something where the runtime for the new one is going to be almost basically 3 hours, which is almost identical to what this one was. So that's 6 hours worth of just one storyline, which seems a lot. I don't know. Yeah, I hope it's good. I hope, and they wrap it up and he's done, because even especially in this last one, Tom Cruise is a madman and looks great for his age, but he's still like he's starting to look older. No, I mean obviously I want to say he's I think he's 63, and he looks fantastic and does crazy things for a 63-year-old man. But I think it's time, dude. I think it's time to do something else. Like the world can be saved by by someone else. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sure some people are diehard Tom Cruise fans, but either way. And I guess I ended my week, and we may talk about this on Movie Bros. I don't know what we're doing this week. It's been kind of up in the air. I literally today, which is Tuesday, the 29th, I just finally finished moving all of the things from my old house to my new apartment and cleaning and so like I literally handed over keys today. It's just been real messy and busy. Like my one bedroom apartment is now fucking full of stuff that I'm slowly figuring out where it's all gonna go. My dog and the rest of life does not slow down. I mean, I'm leaving in a couple days to go out of town for a friend's bachelor party stuff, and then as soon as I get back next week, I'm leaving again for a short work trip up near the San Juan Islands. So we'll see how a recording and posting for the next week or so turns out. But either way, sorry, I ended my week by going to the movies with a couple friends and b a couple family members because it is the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3, basically releasing. So it was back in theaters, and that is, man, I was thinking back about this. So 2005, around this time between Star Wars, like Batman, just the start of the MC. I feel like there's some other big. Oh, Lord of the Rings. Like it might have been the tail end of Jurassic Park. I'm trying to remember. Either way, was that a good time for movies? And it was a good time for movies that were not just remakes of everything. Like they were all more or less either original concepts and or like they were building something off of like a book. It wasn't like this is just a remake. And man, was that's that era aside. This specific movie, episode 3, I've what a what a blast! Basically, from beginning to end, it's 140 minutes, and I think there are parts where yes, it feels like it drags a little bit, but like it is start to end, like the culmination of a trilogy, more or less done correctly. I think. I feel like, especially when they came out, people were hating on the prequels for Star Wars, but granted, those are the ones that I grew up with, and I love. Well, I ironically love the Phantom Menace. Revenge of the Sith is fucking amazing, and I've come around more and more to Attack of the Clones as I've become more appreciative of just like film and like the more technical side of it, not just like did I have a fun time watching it. Like looking at the movie objectively, it's actually I really enjoy it for those parts more and more now versus prior. Yeah, so I would call this a very solid 4 to 4.5 out of 5. There are parts of Anakin's whiny little bitch. You granted me a seat on the council, but I'm not a master. And there are some parts of this that have been memed so incredibly hard by now that like lots of us throughout the theater were laughing at parts that were not supposed to be a joke, but because they are kind of ridiculous looking back on them now. So maybe that's why it's not a perfect movie, but what a fun time. I would I would watch this in theaters every year if that was a thing. Like I'm looking forward to, I believe it's 2027 will be the 50-year mark of the original Star Wars, which I think is going to be really cool. I'm definitely going to go to that wherever I am in life. I hope I can go to that. And that's what I watched, folks, in the last 2 weeks, because I know that probably sounded like I just ran through a fuckload of movies, and yes, I did. But if I look at like my calendar on Letterboxd of like when I actually watch these things, they are spread out over 2 weeks. So really, 1, 2, 3, 4. I probably watched about 5 to 6 in one week and 3 to 4 in another. So yes, overall it's a lot of movies. But again, I will probably call this both episode 39 and 40 because again, I didn't even realize that I missed a week. I feel like I don't know. I guess I was not just paying attention. But that's what I watched. If you are thinking, oh man, I either agree with you, don't agree with you, based on those movies, you should be watching this, or based off these movies, you should not be watching something, or whatever. If you want to let me know, let me know. Again, check out the Movie Bros. That is the more, I'd say, central podcast. This is something I either A, forget about, or B, it's not really something of real substance or something that I either even edit more than just stick a couple little like sound bites at the beginning and the end and trim out some ums and ers. But yeah, that's been episode 39 and 40 of Dunk's Movie Corner or Dunk's Movie Corner pod or podcast. and I hopefully will be back on regular schedule next week.